I'm a 63-year-old retired electrician who's lived in my house for over 30 years. Everything changed when I opened a white envelope from the HOA. Inside was a fine for $50,000 in bold red ink for unauthorized construction and alteration of community water flow. They were targeting my dam. For years, the 3 houses at the bottom of our cul-de-sac suffered severe flooding. Every heavy rain turned our backyards into swamps, ruining gardens and threatening foundations. My neighbor, George, lost a brand new lawnmower last year. He complained to the HOA repeatedly, but they said any solution was cost prohibitive. So I fixed it myself. I spent 3 months building a small concrete and rock dam at my property line where the creek bottlenecked. It slowed floodwater during storms and redirected excess into a natural drainage channel. It worked perfectly. My neighbors were thrilled and even brought me whiskey to say thanks. Now, the HOA president, Marlene Graves, was fining me $50,000 for solving their problem. The letter threatened liens and daily compounding interest. Attached were blurry photocopies of county permits that looked fake-smudged signatures, citing regulations that didn't exist. I called Marlene, hoping to resolve this reasonably. She cut me off coldly. The fine stands. Pay it, or we will take further action. I sent a polite email to the board with photos documenting the flooding problem and how my dam solved it. Only one member, David, responded, suggesting I apologize and remove the dam to negotiate the fine down. Then I examined those permits closely. The county seal was distorted like a bad photocopy. I compared it to the official seal on the county website. They weren't even close. Marlene had forged government documents to extort $50,000 from me. This was fraud. I spent the next week gathering evidence. I compiled years of photos showing the flooding, then set up a security camera that captured the dam working perfectly during the next storm. I sent David a comparison of the real and fake county seals. He called, voice shaking. "You're right, but be careful. Marlene doesn't back down." 3 days later, a deputy arrived at my door with a cease and desist order. I had 48 hours to remove the dam or face criminal charges. The officer cut off my explanation about forged documents. "Sir, I'm not here to debate it." I felt trapped. That's when I called my friend Maya, a retired civil engineer. She examined everything: the documents, the dam, the water flow. "This is impressively sloppy," she said about the forgery. "This regulation code doesn't even exist." She inspected my dam and confirmed, "This is a properly constructed gravity weir. It does exactly what it's supposed to do." We spent days collecting data water level measurements, flow logs, time-stamped footage. Maya wrote a professional 2-page report with her engineering stamp, concluding the dam was safe and preventing property damage. We sent a formal demand letter to the board with all our evidence, requesting they rescind the fine. Marlene's response: she doubled down with a new $10,000 fine. From my unauthorized surveillance device, my security camera, she installed 2 cameras on the street lamp aimed at my house in retaliation. My neighbors rallied, signing a statement of support. Then Marlene escalated dangerously. She filed a criminal trespassing complaint, claiming the dam was on HOA land with another forged property map. A judge signed an emergency injunction without hearing my side. Remove the dam in 72 hours or face jail. The HOA newsletter portrayed me as a criminal endangering the neighborhood. Neighbors who'd been friendly now avoided me. Even my wife, Sarah, terrified, suggested we give up. At my lowest point, facing possible jail time, I hired a contractor. I watched, heartbroken, as my dam was demolished in minutes. Then it rained, heavily, all night. The next morning, George called frantically. The creek had become a raging river. Floodwater submerged half my yard. George's new mower was underwater. Clara's yard was a lake. By removing the dam, Marlene had unleashed the exact disaster it was built to prevent. I documented everything with my camera. The neighborhood's anger at me shifted to fury at the HOA. I called the local news investigative team. My HOA used forged documents to fine me $50,000 and forced me to remove a flood control dam. Now we're underwater. I have proof, reporter Sarah Jenkins arrived the next day. I walked her through every piece of evidence, the forged permits next to real ones, videos of the dam working, fake violation notices, audio recordings, the falsified property map. She interviewed my flooded neighbors on camera. The story aired 2 nights later and was devastating. They showed the forgeries, played my footage, caught Marlene denying everything on camera. The response exploded. My phone rang constantly with people sharing their own HOA abuse stories. The board called an emergency meeting, and the community clubhouse was packed. When Marlene tried to proceed with normal business, George stood up. We're not talking about landscaping. We're talking about fraud. People stood one by one, sharing stories of petty fines and abusive inspections. When I held up photos proving Marlene's lies, she crumbled. Without a word, she gathered her papers and walked out. Minutes later, David announced her immediate resignation. The room erupted in applause. The board voted unanimously to rescind over $60,000 in fines against me, issued a formal public apology, and agreed to pay all flood damage from HOA reserves. We formed an oversight committee and drafted new bylaws with caps on fines, requirements for photographic evidence, bans on surveillance cameras aimed at homes, and full financial transparency. With a proper county permit, we rebuilt the dam with Maya's engineering improvements. This time, neighbors helped George mixed concrete. Clara brought food. Others stopped by to help or say thanks. When the spring rains came, I stood at my window, watching the water rise against the new dam, slow and flow away harmlessly. The yards stayed dry. Maya joined me with beers on the back porch. She really thought she could bully a creek into submission. Maya smiled. You can't vote against gravity, I said. And, in the end, the truth proved just as unstoppable.